you so much for joining me on another episode of Taking a Merry Break, where I have the honor today of having the infallible Dr. Jim Laughlin with me. How are
Hello,
you
Mary.
today,
I'm doing
sir?
well.
I am so glad that you had the time to do this.
Yeah,
Jim
thank you.
has an extraordinary music career, for those of you that don't know him, and I'm excited. I just want to jump right in. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'm originally from Oklahoma City, and I grew up in a musical family. My dad always played the guitar and sang around the house. My mom's family, my grandpa made fiddles.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have a couple of homemade fiddles. People ask, what's the difference in a fiddle and a violin?
Yeah.
And I say, well, if your grandpa hand carved it for you, it's a fiddle. And he would play the fiddle around the house, and my family would even get together and have play music together. So I grew up in a musical environment, and then I just started school band.
I love that. I always thought the difference was 6 days a week it was a violin, and 1 day a week it was a fiddle.
Yeah.
No, it's the other way around.
On my grandpa's farm, it was 7 days. It was a fiddle.
That's it. I love that.
It's a hand carved.
I love that.
And then I was at a really great school. We had a great jazz band program. So in the 70s, I was fortunate enough that we got to attend festivals, and I got to meet people like Count Basie and Woody Herman and Buddy Rich and all those great big bands.
Absolutely.
Those big band leaders were still alive, and I saw their bands and just caught the bug.
I love
when I was
that.
in high school.
I love that. So then now you've caught the bug, and music is your thing. Where do you go from there? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. We had a former secretary, that said, you don't choose music, music chooses you.
That's right.
And once music chose me, I planned on majoring in, different things. I always tried to switch my major, but music kept pulling me back, and I could never get away from music. So it's always drawn me in, and it's just what I do.
I absolutely love that. So then we are at Amarillo College today, where you are a professor. Right. And how long have you been with Amarillo College?
Well, I came in the summer of '89, so I just finished my 35th year.
That's amazing.
And it's an interesting story. I just stopped to get gas in Amarillo and ran into a friend who told me about this job. And they offered it to me, and I thought I could be here for a year or two. I was on my way to Austin, Texas, and it's turned out to be a great community. I get to play every kind of style of music that I want.
Yes.
And it's been a great place to raise a family. It's where I met Tammy. So I'm glad that I landed in Amarillo.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been the perfect place to.
And I love that because, I'm really focusing that in Amarillo, there is so much culture of the arts.
People are always surprised.
And it is exploding now. Yes. And just because if you're not local, you think, oh, Amarillo, but Amarillo has some of the best artists from across the genre. And, you've done a lot of things with other artists. Talk about other things that you're in. Like you are a member of the Amarillo Symphony. Is that right?
Yes. I think it was in 1990. They had a part for saxophone. So I played the part. I think it was the Lieutenant Kiji Suite.
Oh, okay.
And then I think it was in 91. They actually did an audition. So, they named Don Lefevre and I the saxophonists of the symphony. So between the two of us, we've played on and off. And then I think it was probably around 2012, the bass clarinetist retired. So I auditioned and won the bass clarinet and third clarinet.
That's incredible.
So,
and it's such an incredible, the symphony, if you guys haven't been, you really
must. It's so much
must.
fun to play in the symphony.
And all the people are just fantastic, and just such talent. And you've also done other things. I know that you've created, and it's in its 29th year maybe of jJazz. Is that right?
We're about to do our 29th season, starting 2 weeks from tonight. So that came about during the year of '92. I took a year's leave and went to North Texas and did my year's residency to do my doctorate of music, which I finished. But while I was in Denton,
Uh-huh.
Dallas had a series called Jazz Under the Stars.
Okay.
And so when I came back, I thought, oh, I want to start a series like that. So I just started it in June.
Yeah.
And actually, one of our English teachers called it, well, why don't you call it jJazz? So that was in '96.
I love that. So then once a week, then you're doing
Every Tuesday night in June.
Every Tuesday night in June.
So some of the top 10 questions
Yes.
are, does jJazz continue through July?
Right.
And I'm like, hence jJazz.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We
The
tried that a
month.
little bit,
Right.
but for 20 years, I didn't get any compensation
Oh my
for it. I
gosh.
just did it all because I love jazz.
Right.
And, doing it those 4 weeks and then, to go further, at some point we were doing family vacations.
Oh, well, of
and things.
course.
But after 20 years, my department chair brought me in and said, Jim, what do you get out of this? And I said, smiles,
Oh.
community.
Yeah.
I do it for the community. And then,
Yes.
so then he made sure that I got some compensation.
Oh,
so,
I love that.
so since year 21, they do give me a little bit of compensation.
Well,
so.
that's nice. I think
It
you
is nice.
deserve that.
It
It
took
is
20
nice.
years,
We know. Hey, what's 20 years,
Yeah.
right? Well, can you give us a little insight of maybe something that's coming up in jJazz?
Well,
or
the first
anything?
week, I have an Army jazz band from Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Oh my gosh.
And in conversation with that organization,
yes.
I mentioned, we also have this Greater Southwest Music Festival happening at the end of April.
Uh-huh.
So they came over and performed at the Civic Center for Greater Southwest Music Festival,
Wow.
and they sounded amazing. They're professional musicians.
Oh, well, yeah.
So they sounded great. They're also going to do clinics for kids. So that's the first week. The second week, I was contacted by a band from Denver
Uh-huh.
that just completed an album.
Oh, wow.
And so they're doing an album release tour
Uh-huh.
and wanted to come through Amarillo. They're called Daruma, and they are amazing. So they're coming in from Denver. Usually we do mostly local talent.
Sure.
But this year we have the Army Big Band. We have this band from Daruma. And then last year, I didn't have Polk Street Jazz on.
Mhm.
I asked them, do you want to do this year or the next year? And they said, oh, we'll do next year so that I can fit everybody in.
Yes.
So I wanted to make sure I had Polk Street Jazz. So they're the last week. So that left 1 week.
Yes.
So who do I use? So I just call that Jim Laughlin and Friends.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
I'll try to squeeze in,
Just a little bit.
Right, some of the other people.
I
So.
love that. Well, that sounds wonderful. So, if someone is really interested in music and maybe, they're not even young, they've just always kind of had a heart for it, is there something you could suggest to them? Or is
Oh, yeah,
there some classes? What would you suggest?
We are a community college.
Absolutely.
So we work with, typical freshman, sophomore
Yes.
level students, but we also have community ensembles. We have a community concert band on Monday nights that Bruce Collins directs, and we have physicians, we have lawyers, we have airline pilots.
I love it.
A lot of people from the community play in the community band. We have a community orchestra on Thursday nights.
Uh-huh.
Our jazz ensemble has a combination of freshman, sophomore level students and also community players. So we kind of have we are a community college.
Well, of course.
So we have,
and so this would be a good place to go, guys, if you decided you had the bug too and maybe
Yeah.
wanted to start. It's
And
never too
sometimes-
late. Yeah.
Sometimes people, they say, I haven't played an instrument since high school.
Exactly.
But the community band is, it's a very positive and enriching experience. So there is room for people who haven't played in a number of years, right?
Yes.
So, we work those people in and we kind of get them up to speed, and there's no judgment. It's just a lot of fun and people enjoy it.
I love that. And what's really nice too is that, with everything you do, all the organizations, all the different facets, even if it's, say, Amarillo Little Theater, we work together with everyone. I mean, you've even played for them, haven't you?
Yeah, Amarillo is a small.
Yes.
It's a big, small town.
Yes, yes.
So it's, there's only so many of us. So we're involved with everything.
And I
So
love that.
I can't think of any organization that does anything with music that I haven't been involved with.
Well, yes. So if you had a highlight throughout like your whole career right now, is there one specific moment that you're just like, I am right where I need to be, or do you have a lot of those moments?
I do have a lot of those moments.
I'm sure you do, but can you share like just one story?
Well, one moment was like that. I was actually invited to go into the Neil unit and do a prison ministry. So I took my saxophone, and as you can imagine, that got some attention, right?
Well,
so,
yes, it would.
All the men in white noticed I had a saxophone.
Right.
And it was on Palm Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So I actually walked out into the yard and played Amazing Grace, and the whole place just stopped. And it just was a real special
I love
moment.
that, and that's wonderful. And do you have anything like in your future? Are there any future projects you're thinking of?
Yeah, I was invited to perform with a big band from Switzerland called the IHS World Orchestra, and we're going to go to Cuba for 2 weeks. So I'm going to spend the first 2 weeks of September in Cuba with a big band. It's made up of musicians from Northern Europe, Canada, and the U.S., so that's real exciting.
That is such an honor.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask if you would be willing to maybe just play a little something.
Sure.
And hear the music, and then, make sure that if you are local or around the area, you come to jJazz, because this is just a snippet of things that you might hear.
So this is a song that I think when I was in the 6th grade, I went to a music festival our band director took us to, and somebody gave a clinic, and as I was leaving, excuse me, this clinician took me by the arm and he said, "What do you play?" And I said, "The saxophone." And he said, "Which one?" I said, "I don't know." So he handed me an album. So it was my first jazz record. It was a Sonny Rollins record, and this song was on that first record. So I wore that record out. So this is Sonny Rollins, St. Thomas.
I love it.
Just a little bit of
Wow.
St. Thomas.
That was wonderful. You're so talented. I really appreciate you being here. This has been so much fun. And I'll tell you one thing I always do before I end is I always tell everyone to be kind, because you know what? You never know what anyone's going through. And I always say in this tribe, we pay it forward. So you're part of my tribe now, just so you know.
Awesome.
And so thank you so very much. Why don't you tell everyone bye? And I will too. So, and thank you guys again. As always, this is Mary with Taking a Mary Break.
I introduce the members of the band to you. All right, we're going to start up here in the saxophone section. On the alto saxophone, we have Daniel Rogers from Texas. Next to him on the tenor saxophone is Jerem Christensen from Idaho. Then over here on the electric guitar, we've got David Bergeron from New Hampshire. Going back over here to the trombone section, first we have Bryson Roberts. He's all the way from Washington. Next to him is Jonathan Stobie, all the way from Texas. And on the third trombone over here, we've got Ian Stark from Michigan. Back over in the trumpet section, we've got Jonathan Monroe from Arkansas. Also from Texas, Randy Johnson. And then we've got Joshua Dahl from Wisconsin. Going over here to the keyboard, you met him earlier, Kupo Newton from Arkansas. On bass guitar, we've got Robert King, I know his name, all the way from Kentucky. And on the drums, we've got Myron Zinker from North Dakota.